So look, Jerome Powell, we've been doing the sad countdown on every press conference he does. Oh, there's only 3 left. Oh, there's only 2 left. Oh, there's only 1 left. It's almost time for Jerome Powell to hang up the money printer, okay? He's gone in May, and there's been a bit of a Donald Trump celebrity apprentice style run on who he's going to pick to replace him. And there was a lot of candidates. First, there was Kevin Warsh. Then there was Kevin Hassett, who seemed like a shoo-in, a lock, a 98% on Polymarket. Then briefly, there was Rick Ryder, we talked about, which I was very excited for because I realized this after that video. His name is Richard Ryder, AKA Dick Ryder. Trump could have nominated a literal Dick Ryder to do that. I would have had jokes for years and years and years. However, all those people, well, 2 of those people, went to zero. And instead, it went right back to Kevin Warsh. Kevin Warsh was the nominee. A surprise surge straight to the top of the betting markets. Donald Trump, a few days ago, put out a very long Truth Social. Oh my God, let's see if we can get this less cut off. A very long Truth Social with his whole resume. Saying, I have known Kevin for a long period of time, and I have no doubt that he will go down as one of the great Fed chairmen, maybe the best. On top of everything else, he is central casting, and he'll never let you down. Now, if you guys don't know what central casting is, Trump says that when he means this person looks the part. It's like they're straight out of central casting in Hollywood. And he's really obsessed with people looking the part, looking hot. Okay, the cropping's kind of wrong. Let me fix this real quick. There we go. He's a bit of a showman, as you may have noticed. And that's kind of a funny thing for him to say because Kevin Warsh has had a very long, many years, almost a decade plus, trying to get this job. He's really wanted the job. And the reason he didn't get it last time, he was number 2 behind Powell. You may not know this. Last time, when Jerome Powell was picked, it was a close race between Kevin Warsh and Jerome Powell. And at the last minute, Donald Trump said, Kevin Warsh is too young. He said he looks too young, too boyish. And if something bad happens, the markets aren't going to trust him. This is unironically what Trump said the first time. That's why he picked Jerome Powell, it turns out. It was because he looked more serious. So now that it's been quite a few years, Kevin Warsh has aged up and probably fucking dyed his hair grayer because he wanted the job this time around. He wants to look older to be more serious so that Trump will pick him. I mean, he really, if you look, this article's quite good. He has been like campaigning for this job. He has wanted this job. This is a serious goal of his, which, a little bit worrying. But so before I go on and explain like what this means, what a Kevin Warsh Fed chair might look like, I need to explain 2 kind of basic finance terms. Okay. You know how we often talk about, we'll talk about like raising and lowering interest rates and whether you want to fight for inflation or fight for jobs, right? We'll do that. Okay. So on Wall Street or in finance in general, if somebody really is concerned about inflation and they want to raise rates and they want to slow the economy down and make sure things don't get too expensive, they're hawkish. They're called hawkish. They're like a hawk watching over inflation. Okay. That's hawkish, not hawk Tua. There's no Hawk Tua involved. This predates, if you can believe it, Hawk Tua. They're just hawkish. And if they're more concerned about growing the economy, making money easier to print or to borrow, and juicing things in the short term, getting jobs up, they're called dovish. So if you hear these terms all the time, you're like, oh, this guy's hawkish, this guy's dovish. That's what it means. It's basically about that. Okay? Hawkish versus dovish. And the dovish people are really about making it cheap to borrow. Okay? Famously, if you go back through all Fed chairs in American history, the most hawkish was this guy, Paul Volcker. famously, he's like the example of an ultimate hawk because he broke the back of inflation in the 70s and 80s by raising interest rates to unheard of near 20% levels. Okay? He made it extremely expensive to borrow, which did cause a recession, by the way, but it completely broke the back of inflation. It got prices back down to normal. It stopped growing. Then when growth happened, it was above the rate of prices. Things felt cheaper to average Americans. Okay? This is a big deal that he did that. He's the ultimate hawk. But again, being a hawk in these type of times is tough to do because it does cause economic slowdown. And that's unpopular. People were like throwing, like they were like pulling tractors on Volcker's front lawn and farmers were saying he was killing their business. And there was like a lot of like protests and okay, it wasn't like an easy decision. There was a lot of political backlash. It was tough and he had to do it. So understand, but that's how they did it. Ultimate hawk. The reason you might have noticed that so many crazy market moves happened when Kevin Warsh was chosen as the nominee is that if you look at his past history and things that he said, again, he's been involved in the Fed and central banking and finance for a long time. There is a sense that he is more of a hawk than a dove. And that's a surprise because everybody thought Donald Trump would pick the most dovish person possible. That was the idea. And so there's this big question, Scaramucci from our fucking crypto show was like, the market has decided that Kevin Warsh is Paul Volcker, which again is an insane thing, right? That's very unlikely. But the market is nervous because if you look at this guy's past statements, he's like extremely concerned over and over again about inflation. And he's not one to want to raise rates in the past. So there's like this question, there's this dynamic is this guy, Kevin Warsh, gonna be Paul Volcker or is he gonna be Donald Trump? Is he gonna be Trump in a mustache doing exactly what Trump wants? Because Trump seems to think that's what he is. Trump thinks Kevin Warsh is gonna get in there, cut rates, stimulate the economy, and that's what Kevin Warsh has been saying recently, since like September of last year. He's been all in on the Trump train, saying whatever he wants to hear. He's been saying Trump's policies are great. We got to cut interest rates. He's been saying everything you got to say to get the job. But is he just saying it to get the job and then he's going to go back? We don't know. All right. Trump wants a hot economy. Okay. He wants aggressive fiscal stimulus, loose monetary policy. That's what he wants. And Kevin Warsh's history gives him some credibility that he won't be doing that. And so the question is, from every financial outlet, will Warsh do what Trump wants? He may not be a guaranteed yes on cutting interest rates. So let me give you some of the pros. Let me give you some of the pros and cons of Kevin Warsh here. The pros are he does have experience and he's not an idiot. He's got some dumb decisions in his past. People like Mark Carney have given them a vouch. People like Ray Dalio have given him a vouch. They've said, hey, and then Ray Dalio is a guy who's constantly saying America is going to default on its debts. The dollar's going to go to zero and they're fucking screwed. And he's like, Kevin Warsh is a guy that probably could. So there's a central sense this guy might actually do the right thing. Here's some cons. A couple cons. In the past, he's actually been wrong about a lot of things. Most specifically, he was one of the Fed governors voting during 2007 and 8. And in that time, he said, let me see if I have a quote here. This is like in the peak of the recession. Okay, April 2009. The economy is losing hundreds of thousands of jobs. The unemployment rate is spiking and inflation's only 1.2%. And he's like, I'm worried about inflation. He's like still trying to slow, like that is when you cut rates. That is when it's like you have to cut. And he's still like, so do you understand? Like he's almost insanely hawkish. He might just be dumb, but he's very worried about inflation. So that's his past, that's his experience. Additionally, on a personal level, he's married to, I forget her first name. What's her first name? Gloria, maybe? Her last name is the important Jane. I'm sorry, Jane. So her name is Jane Lauder. You might recognize that name, Lauder, because her dad is, I believe, Ronald Lauder of the Estee Lauder Fortune, which is the makeup company. Okay? Billionaire heiress. This guy, very deeply connected in a lot of bad ways. Very deep billionaire connections all over the place. I know he just looks evil, but he also has, very, actually, I don't think he's personally in the Epstein files, but very Epstein files connected. Very like New York City finance billionaire connected. Okay? So there's like a bit of, this guy, a big Trump supporter, big Trump donor. So there's a bit of like a pressure there through the family that would fall on Kevin here to prevent him from making the right call, the right decision. Additionally, Kevin Warsh, I think this is actually kind of overblown. He was mentioned, and his wife, in the Epstein files. I wonder if I could pull up the image. I was gonna be like, oh, well, that's fucking open and shut, right? But then I looked into it. It's like there's one page where they're listing every rich person who has a boat in St. Bart's, and it's like Martha Stewart's on there. It's like a bunch of people that are all rich that are near. And St. Bart's not even the island so it wasn't. That's the only mention I could find of Kevin Warsh in there. So I wouldn't say. I mean, he's just in those circles maybe, but he's not. So I wouldn't say that's a big. People are going to say that about him, but I want to say I don't think that's a big criticism. So overall, if I had to give you my short take on this, it's like, of all the people this guy could have picked, Trump could have picked, it could be a lot worse. I'm actually like, okay, this guy's got a background where at least he seems concerned with inflation. He's got possibly the ability to be hawkish when needed. Okay, it's not insane. However, knowing the context we have going into this, the real fear is that he will be like many other people who have said things in the past, and then once Trump has the political pressure, the people around you, the donation money, and the ability to put investigations on you, like he did with Jerome Powell, people flip. Like, you can find plenty of people whose past statements, if you saw them, you're like, oh, that guy's going to be a certain way.
But yeah, here's what happens in many countries around the world. You have a leader that emerges and basically says, don't put your faith in yourselves, don't put your faith in society, put your faith in me. I'm a strong leader, and I'm going to make things better all by myself. This is very typical. You see it in the third world. You see it a lot in Latin America for decades. It's basically the argument he's making that he single-handedly is going to turn the country around. We've never been that kind of country. We have a president. The president is an American citizen who serves for a period of time, constrained by the constitutions and the powers vested in that office. The president works for the people, not the people for the president. And if you listen to the way he describes himself and what he's going to do, he's going to single-handedly do this and do that without regard for whether it's legal or not.
The ending is the real.
Look, I think people are going to have to make up their mind. I can tell you this, no matter what happens in this election, for years to come, there are many people on the right, in the media, and voters at large that are going to be having to explain and justify how they fell into this trap of supporting Donald Trump, because this is not going to end well one way or the other.
This is how it ended. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a tough quote. That's a tough quote. And then,
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people, who is a total fraud.
Like you said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
Definitely, there is definitely an element of Donald Trump's support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia.
I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
All right, and how did that end? Do you know what I'm saying? So when I see Kevin Warsh and I look at his past statements from years and years ago where he's like, yeah, I think we should be careful with inflation and we need to, and then I see all of his recent statements where he says the exact opposite. I feel like I'm more worried about this type of situation than I am that he's a secret agent who said the right thing to get in the job. I think that might have been a lucky thing that we got with Powell and not something that I'm deeply trusting of this time. Now, I want to say one more thing because people really want to know, like, what the hell happened with, like, precious metals. After this guy was picked, after Kevin Warsh was picked, the market, again, was pricing in that they were going to be the most dovish guy of all time. So this is kind of a shock when he picks this guy. And so the immediate thing that happens is the US dollar strengthens instead of weakens because people are like, oh, he's going to be more hawkish. Things that are about the debasement trade, like gold and silver, take a hit. And then borrowing costs go up, all right? That's like the immediate reaction. The reason it was so severe in gold is because, gold and silver, is because I want to do a little bit of a psychological thing here. Anytime in the modern, financialized, insane, Reddit retail trader, Wall Street bets type economy, anytime you get a line like this, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be literally human shit coin. It could be anything. Isn't it a line like this? People start piling in with leverage. They start piling in with borrowed money. It does not matter what it is. So it causes a huge surge in greed. Like I said, gold particularly is a scary asset to be trading right now because some part of this rise is due to fear, which is an emotion that's also unreliable. People are like, oh, I'm afraid of the dollar debasement. I'm afraid of uncertainty in the world, so I buy gold. But it's also being driven by greed. It's one of the rare assets that has both fear and greed, the worst investing emotions, piling it in to making it extremely, extremely top heavy. Yeah, plus FOMO, okay? And so when you get this in a row, and people go, oh my God, if it's guaranteed going to go up, then I can just borrow money and make a short-term bet on it continuing to go up. There's no way I can lose. And so when you have people doing that, let me give you an example. If you have $10,000, right, and you want to buy gold, you might get 2 ounces, okay? Now, if gold doubles, oh, I made a new $10,000. That's awesome. That's great. But if you know it's going to double, if you're so confident, well, you're like, why don't I just borrow $10,000 and then I put in 20K? And then if it doubles, I have 40K, okay? I'll pay back 10 and I have a 30K profit. I made way more money. Okay? That is what people are doing. The problem with that is this is margin money. This is borrowed money. So if the price goes down at all, even in the short term, even for a little bit, all of a sudden you're getting what's called margin called. If this goes down to, like, let's say 15,000, right? Okay? Or let's say more like 12. If this went down to 12 or whatever. Okay? Then it's like the bank that loaned you money doesn't take the loss. Okay? That minus 8,000 comes out of yours. Okay? You still owe the 10K and your margin, your percentage that you have is much smaller. So the bank is very worried that you're not going to be able to pay them back as this falls. So they say you either have to put in more money to top up your margin, or we're going to automatically sell your holdings to make sure that we can get our money back. And so people that are on this insane leverage, they're on this fucking 10x leverage or whatever, 3x, 5x, 10x leverage. The second the gold price starts to fall even a little bit, their banks are automatically selling their gold to make sure they can pay off this. Instant. It's automatic. You get wiped out instantly. Leverage makes the losses way more impactful. And we had a lot of people piling in to leverage trades on silver or gold and other precious metals. So once it dipped even a tiny bit, the dip was instantly compounded. All this stuff got stopped out. All this stuff got margin called out. That's what happens. So understand that, like, the normal trade of why you might be interested in gold is really being overwhelmed by the goofiest people on earth. Like, it's no longer about like a fundamental reason. Whatever you hear about is like mostly about insane retail traders at this point. You see people like, this is like a big thread on Reddit a few days ago. I'm 3x leverage. Am I cooked? I need a significant rise to break even. People were buying in at the absolute top with leverage, and they're getting fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is all over. So understand, like, the swings in a volatile thing like gold right now, or silver or anything, are going to be way wilder once there's a bunch of retail emotional traders involved. And so it was originally Kevin Warsh, but it got amplified by that. That's a kind of explanation of what's going on. Now, the last thing I want to say is there's also a chance, I think it's a smaller chance, but there's a chance that Kevin Warsh doesn't even get the nomination. It doesn't get confirmed, because there are still senators like Republican Tom Tillis, but others who are saying, hey, he's a qualified nominee. However, I will not vote to confirm him until you drop the charges against Chairman Powell, because you have a criminal investigation, a fake one, into Jerome Powell. Until you drop that, I'm not going to confirm your nominee. I hope that more senators take up this banner and this message, because the idea that a president could drum up some fake charges to put pressure on a central banker and then push in his own guy is not good. We have to make sure that's not part of the process. So that's kind of the update. I think that helps you understand what's going on and why everyone's talking about Kevin Warsh and why it's causing crazy swings in the market. I don't think any of these will be long-term crazy. The first real course of action is what this guy does when he's in office. And I got to be honest with you, my gut, despite all the talk about him being a hawk, my gut is that this guy comes in and cuts interest rates first thing. The first immediate thing he does is does exactly what Trump wants and cuts rates. I think it's very, very likely. So I think any bets that are positioning him like he's some sort of Paul Volcker 2.0 are, I think, misguided. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you.